Donald Trump and his sycophants, Donald Trump and the Steve Bannons and all these other guys that are the Patel, etc., always like to talk about deep state, as if the dedicated people in the government somehow they want to constantly give trouble to Donald Trump or somehow always put him under investigation or somehow spy on him. But you know what we talk about a lot here? Whenever you're pointing that finger, there's several more pointing back. And it turns out that a report just came out that pointed out that the Trump DOJ pulled phone records and texts that were secretly gathered of congressmen, staffs, and journalists during his first administration. I want you to see how this journalist addressed it. Because Andrea Mitchell did a great job in sort of parodying what Donald Trump likes to say. And I think in the process, she made a fool out of him. Check this out, and then we'll take it on the other side.
In a new report just out today, the Department of Justice's Inspector General is criticizing the DOJ under Donald Trump. This new report lays out how in 2017 and 2018, the Trump Justice Department secretly and improperly obtained phone and text message logs of 2 members of Congress, dozens of congressional staffers, and then in 2020 got similar records from members of the news media. Among the staffers whose records were seized, get this, Kash Patel, President-elect's choice to take over the FBI. He was working various national security roles then. The IG report finds the DOJ failed to take account of separation of powers by seizing those communication records, using subpoenas and gag orders, third-party providers, including Apple, to get the records and to keep those companies from telling their customers. Ken, this is the secrecy involved here and the fact that they were doing it on some of their own people and members of Congress.
Yes, Andrea, I think the most important thing about this report is that it serves as a warning as a second Trump administration is about to take office with a new Trump-appointed attorney general about just how powerful the Justice Department can be, what kind of records it can get, and the secrecy it can deploy in going about getting them. Now, in this case, there were some leaks of classified information into news stories in 2017 and 2018 about the Russia investigation. And line attorneys, line prosecutors sort of went off in bull in a china shop fashion and grabbed up the phone records and text message logs of 43 congressional staffers and 2 members of Congress. They happen to be California Democrats, Adam Schiff and Eric Swalwell, who were on the Intelligence Committee at the time. Now, the Inspector General did not find that was improper. That was in accordance with the rules at the time. There are now rules that say that top officials at the Justice Department would have to be notified if something like that happened. But the IG did find that later, under Bill Barr, the Justice Department violated its own policies when it secretly grabbed up the same kind of records from reporters at the New York Times and the Washington Post without telling the journalists. There is now a policy in place that says that can't happen anymore, that the DOJ will not subpoena records except in emergency circumstances from reporters doing their jobs. But that's just a policy, Andrea. That can be rolled back by the Trump Attorney General. And that's the real warning shot here that this Inspector General report is firing, that there's a lot to be concerned about. A lot can happen behind the scenes, Andrea.
And who was the Attorney General when this first started?
It was Jeff Sessions, but he was recused, so he was not found to have been involved. That's the bizarre thing about this, is that the subpoenas to the members of Congress and the staffers were done by line prosecutors, sort of the workaday mechanisms of the Justice Department, without real consideration for the fact that this is a separate branch of government. They could have whistleblowers calling them about the Department of Justice, and maybe the DOJ shouldn't have access to those records without any warning.
I think we found the deep state. It was the Trump first administration, DOJ.
So there you go. She didn't mince her words, did she? She said, I think we found the deep state. It's the Trump first administration. It's Trump's first administration's DOJ. Think about that. Here he is, always complaining, and it turns out that his administration is really the culprit that spied on others that went into others' business and so forth. We have a long 4 years ahead of us. And it's going to be the 4 years that we have to remain vigilant. It's the 4 years that independent media is going to have to do the work, because as you see right now, the mainstream media is trying to appease Trump. They're normalizing Trump. They are actually making the things that Trump do that are so bad, so wrong. They're actually making those vogue. I think what we call it is the sanitization of Trump. And while the mainstream media, in some fashion, probably believes they have to do that to maintain that connectivity with administrations, those of us in the independent media, those of us in the activist independent media, the activist progressive independent media, we don't have to worry about doing that. We just have to tell the truth. So again, as Andrea Mitchell said, we found the deep state. And it's the Trump first administration's DOJ, and likely the DOJ that he puts into action once he's inaugurated. It's a long 4 years ahead of us.
We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead. Number one, subscribe to our channel. And number two, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.